Okay, so f, it looks like it's to the negative first power, but it's not. Okay, that means that's shorthand for the inverse of x. So we're supposed to find the inverse of this function. So let's write down the function. The inverse just means the domain and the range have switched roles. Okay, x plus 2 plus a 1 out here. So what you can do is, f of x is kind of like your y variable. Okay, it's a response variable. We usually let that be the letter y. So you can switch the roles of x and y. Here, let me first write this out. The only thing I did is I replace f of x with y. So now if you switch the roles of x and y, I'm going to put x where y goes. I'm going to put y where x goes in the equation. And now if you solve for y, you'll have your inverse function. Okay, so algebraically I need to get rid of that plus 1, so I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So x minus 1 equals the cubed root of y plus 2. And now to get rid of that cubed root, I'm going to do the opposite. A cubed root means 1/3 power. So if I raise both sides, and make sure you use parentheses over here, if I raise both sides to the power of 3, 3 times that 1/3 power, because exponents on top of exponents multiply. Okay, 3 to the on top of the 1/3 power, they cancel out. Okay, so you get x minus 1 to the third equals y plus 2. And then the last step there, to get y by itself, is just subtract 2 from both sides. So we got x minus 1 to the third minus 2 equals y. So that's our inverse function. Okay, what you would type in here, this is like your y variable. You type in that x minus 1 to the third power minus 2. That's your inverse function. You can check it if you graph them. I'm not entirely sure what these will look like, but if you graph them in the program Desmos, they should be symmetrical about the y equals x line. So in Desmos, just type in x in one of those rectangles that you start with for typing in your equations. You should get a graph that's diagonal like that. And then the next rectangle, graph one of them. Probably should know what a cube root looks like, but I don't off the top of my head. Let's say it looks like this. Maybe this is your f of x. And then if you graph this inverse that we just found, you should see it's a mirror image. Oh, let me try that graph again. It wasn't super good. You should see it's making a mirror image around that dotted line. So I'm just drawing the opposite. So that, like, if I was to fold in that dotted line, I'd get the same figure.